Hey everyone, so Vitor Pereira just had his first press conference and I just was able to listen to it and wanted to give my reaction. So there's a few big things that stood out to me straight away. Basically listening to him talk, kind of watching his mannerisms, and I think there's some interesting things to point out. So first of all, obviously he's really happy to be in his new role. And I think that in and of itself is really interesting. And that's because of the reason that he's so excited to be in the role. And basically, he said in the interview, he's been trying to get to England to coach football for 14 years. And so, this is finally his chance. Wolves needed him to come, and here he is, and he's thrilled to be there. And it's interesting because, obviously, he wanted to be coaching in England, and I think that's kind of more of his goal. He's much more excited about that probably than necessarily coaching at Wolves, but either way, I was pleased by his optimism. A question was asked during the interview, like, hey, you appear to be smiling a lot, like, what do you think you can do to, help everyone in Wolverhampton smile, and improve things? And he basically said, yeah, I'm smiling because I've been trying to get to England for so long. This is his dream, this is his goal, and he's finally made it. And so that was nice to hear, just because it really seems like he's going to work hard and be really enthusiastic and be very driven in this goal, because to him, this isn't necessarily just another coaching job. And that's kind of how I felt it was for Lopetegui when he came on. This was just a job. This was just kind of his next thing. Wasn't really into it. But for Vitor Pereira, he's been working to get to England for the last 14 years of his life. He really wants to be coaching where he's at. He's really excited and passionate about the opportunity to be here. And maybe he'd be just as excited with any other club, but Wolves is where he's at. He's super excited. I think he's going to be really determined to prove himself because he wants to stay. This is kind of what he sees as the culmination of his career, and I think he's going to do his very best. So at the very least, I was happy about that optimism. He talked a little bit less about his excitement for, specifically coaching Wolves. But it does seem like whatever position he's in right now, he's really excited to be there, and he sees this as an amazing opportunity. So that was encouraging. And another thing that was encouraging was the fact that he talked about the club's identity. He must have been watching my videos because I mentioned that a couple of times, that I felt like we really haven't had an identity, and he does seem like someone, given his storied career, he's been doing this for a long time. He seemed to speak with a lot of resolve. Watching kind of the short videos that were released of him kind of coaching players and being on the pitch, he does seem to have a very grounded presence. And I have to say, one thing that was really cool is there's just something about seeing a new manager in the Wolves gear that is just like, it just makes you feel good. So seeing him on the pitch with the big Wolves coat, interviewing in his Wolves shirt with the badge, it's inspiring and it's exciting. But I do think he has a strong grounding presence, and hopefully he can be that grounding presence for the club, help players tighten things up and get us where we want to be. So beyond that, a point that I made in my last video was I talked about how him speaking Portuguese was going to be important to this club because we have a lot of Portuguese-speaking players on the club. Andre actually posted a comment about that either today or yesterday, that's one thing he was specifically really excited about, because he felt like, given all the different languages spoken, he felt like he had maybe a hard time understanding exactly what was going on. So having someone that can come in, speak English and Portuguese, it should, relate to a wider base of the players better, hopefully get them on the same page more. I feel like our Brazilian players are probably going to be our main driving factor for the rest of the season. And so the fact that we have a Portuguese speaking manager, I think that's going to be really helpful. And he does speak English. I mean, it's not like Gary O'Neill speaking English, but he's at least bilingual, and so I think he'll be able to communicate with a wider base of the players that way. So that's really exciting to see. And beyond that, it just seems like he's really happy with where he is. He's really happy with the set of players he's been given. That's one thing he talked about, is that right now he's just trying to understand where the players are at, understand who's who, understand who the leaders are on the club. So, if he needs to reassign who captain is, he's willing to do that. And once he understands, where is leadership on the pitch. So that was one point that he made. But I'm really curious to see how the lineup changes under his leadership. I'm curious to see kind of the value he sees in different players and how he feels like he can implement them in the system that he wants to create. So I'll be really curious to see kind of the lineup changes and strategy differences between him and Gary O'Neill. So and it's nice that we're going to be able to start to see that quickly. I mean, he doesn't have a ton of time to prepare before the Leicester game, but I'm just really excited to see him in charge, employing some of his tactics, excited to watch him interacting with more of the players, and hopefully he can straighten things out and put something together that suits this player base a little better. But he said that in regards to the potential of new players coming in, he said that he's not really focused on that right now. Essentially, I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but he's more focused on the quality that's currently on the pitch, and then he's going to reassess. He did say that ownership was open to the potential of new players coming in, which I think will be really big. But I think it's wise that he made the comment he did, that he really feels like he needs to understand what we have here before he can make any big promises or anything like that, because we do have good players. And I mentioned before, it seems like our club has really been underperforming considering the quality that is on the pitch. And that was kind of something that he spoke to, is let's get this club to where they should be in terms of quality, and then we can make changes and assessments from there. So overall, I thought it was really good. It was great to listen to him talk, and it was just exciting to see him, like I said, in Wolves gear and gearing up for the responsibility. So excited, optimistic for the Leicester game. It'd be fantastic if we could get a win. Apparently Julian Lopetegui was the first manager in a long time that won his debut match. So if we could get another one of those with Vitor Pereira, that'd be really exciting. But one thing I think is interesting is he kind of seems like a happy medium between Julian Lopetegui and Gary O'Neill, because Gary O'Neill was really excited to be at Wolves, seemed like he had a cool strategy and a lot of energy coming in. Julian Lopetegui didn't quite have that same level of enthusiasm, but he did bring in kind of that air of expertise and professionalism with him. It seems like Vitor Pereira is sort of like a middle ground between the two. He has a lot of the enthusiasm, but he also kind of has that grounding presence. You can tell he's been doing this for a long time. And so I don't know, maybe that will be the right recipe for us. I mean, fingers crossed, hoping, like I said before, I hope any new manager that comes into Wolves is going to be the guy. I hope that he's our long-term solution and he gets us that identity we've been looking for. But out the gate, things seem promising. Not everybody will probably agree. I know there's going to be a lot of different people kind of responding to this press conference and giving their opinions, but as of now, optimistic. It was great to hear him. I can't wait to see more. I love it when the club releases kind of footage of practices where you actually get to see kind of the manager and coaches calling things out, interacting with the players, and then just really excited to see how they perform. Hopefully we keep Cunha, that he doesn't get a sentence handed down before the match, and hopefully he'll be available. And I'm just excited to see what happens. So anyway, let me know what your guys' first impressions are on Vitor Pereira. I'm really curious to see what everybody's thinking, if you think he's going to be a good fit for us, if you're worried, good or bad. I'm curious to know what you guys think, because right now, as I've said before, cautiously optimistic, but it does seem like he potentially could be a pretty good fit for what we have going on, a good culture fit for the club. We need a strong leader, and right now, honestly, he does seem like he's going to be able to be that. So excited to see what happens. I think he's really anxious to kind of test his mettle against the other coaches and managers in the Premier League, and he's just thrilled to be here. You could really see it on his face. He's excited to have this opportunity. He's excited to be coaching the Premier League. He's wanted to be here for a long time, and it just seems like he's ready to go. And hopefully this is his big signature on his career, where he says, all right, I'm going all in and we're going to get this done. But he did not seem worried about relegation. He said he's not worried about survival. He just wants to take the club to new heights. And it kind of seemed like he was speaking from a place of like, no, it's not if we're going to do well, it's how well are we going to do. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. But he talked a lot about, the seeing results is what's going to give the players their confidence, and that's what we need. So he said he needs the supporters, he needs the players, he needs his own staff, he needs everybody united so he can kind of drive the ship forward and be a tactical GPS is what he called it, as some people have pointed out in other videos. Be that tactical GPS for the club, guiding them forward. So hopefully that's the case, hopefully that's exactly what happens, and he can guide things onwards and upwards, and maybe we can make some changes in January. And I'm just excited to see what changes he makes out the gate with the players that we do have, because I think we've been seeing players that just aren't quite hitting their potential right now. Hopefully he can bring that out of them. They can be ready to follow him and give it their all, because it's been a wild ride so far this season, and it's been tough. So really looking forward to it. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll just talk to you guys next time. Thanks.